Shalom. Go ahead, 3 and 3. Because we was reading in Joel 3 and 2. The camera got cut off, but we were reading in Joel 3 and 2 where the Lord is bringing all of these armies and all of these all of these troops into the valley of Jehoshaphat, into Armageddon, so that he could plead with them for the nation of YAHAWAH, man, which is Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Haitians and their descendants on their father's side, man.
You run it back.
You got it.
Y'all fighting a good fight.
All right, man.
Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people,
right?
And have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they may drink.
So they sold our people, the Hamites, the so-called Africans, sold our people into slavery for wine and musket guns, man. For cheap rum and musket guns, man. The Arabs had something to do with that as well, man. They were all confederacy against the children of the Lord, man. And that was according to prophecy. The Lord said that that would happen and that he would gather us from everywhere we've been scattered, man. And they parted the Lord's land. What is that talking about? That's talking about Palestine and Israel being parted. Palestine really is a part of Abraham's inheritance that got passed down to Isaac and got passed down to Jacob and got spread throughout the 12 tribes of Israel, man. So there shouldn't be a Palestine in Israel. Nor should those people be in that land, man. It said a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, man. You got it, huh?
Ye, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
Right.
And all the coast of Palestine.
Right.
Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Right.
Because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
Right.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians.
That's the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being sold unto the Grecians, man. Who are known as Greeks today, man. The so-called white man. Alexander the Greek, even though historically speaking, it was Japheth, the man, the son of Noah, Japheth, originally inhabited that land, and it was taken over by Alexander the Greek and his other Edomite cohorts, man. Because they were known as Macedonians at that time, man. And then they took over that land and called themselves Greeks. The same way the so-called white man came over here and stole his land, and now he calls himself an American, man. You got it, right?
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their border.
Right.
Behold, I will raise them out of a place where ye have sold them.
Right. So the Lord is going to take us out of the places where we've been sold in slavery, man. He's going to take us out of those places. In Jeremiah the 16th chapter, the Lord said that he was going to have an exodus that was bigger than the one in Egypt, man. Who did the Lord bring out of Egypt, man? He brought the children of Israel out of Egypt and made a covenant with them, man. So he's going to do the same thing, and it's going to top the exodus of Egypt. Meaning the plagues are going to be worse, the destruction is going to be worse, and the deliverance is going to be sweet. Far sweeter than the one of Egypt, man. We walked out of Egypt. We're going to fly out of this place. You got it?
Behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah.
Right.
And they shall sell them to the Sabians.
Sabians are the Africans, the Hamites.
To a people far off, for the Lord, Yahawah, by Hashem Yahawashi have spoken it.
Jump to Isaiah the 14th chapter. Because the Lord said that, it's more on there?
3 verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up.
Yeah, so what's happening is you have the men of war drawing near, man. And it started with the conflict in Syria. And the conflict, even though it looks like it's dying down, it's only going to continue to rise up until the Lord has all the troops gathered in that land, man. Because that Syria, Israel, that region right there is YAHAWASHI, the Lord's judgment, man. That's what a war of Armageddon is going to take place, and the Lord is going to destroy for the children of Israel's sake, man. Because they've been sold into slavery. And then the Lord said that he was going to sell their people into slavery. So we're gonna get that. We're gonna get another prophet saying the same thing, man. 14:1.
Isaiah 14 verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob,
Right.
and will yet choose Israel,
Right.
and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them,
Right.
and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Those strangers go into the Israelite foreigners, man, because there's a law to stranger. Somebody who's not born in the land that's an Israelite, there's a certain laws concerning how you're supposed to treat that brother when he comes to Israel to celebrate the high holy days. Likewise, the strangers are going to come back and cleave to the nation of Yasharahla, which consists of the confusion of faces. Those of our nation that look like other nations, man. Because you're going to have the nation of Israel, you're going to have men of the nation of Israel, women and children that come back looking like all nations, man. The slander that's being put out here is that we only deal with color. But that slander is meant because the people don't understand what's being said. The Lord said his sheep hear his voice, man. You got it out.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
Right.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for service and handmaid.
Continue.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
Letting you know who that's talking about. The Lord said we're going to take them captives whose captives we were, man. Continue on that one, man.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
Now, when in historical documentation did this happen for the nation of Israel, man? See, in this world, in this day and age, the people that pick up this book don't actually read it, man. And if they do read it, they don't read it with understanding, man. Because if you did read the scriptures with understanding, you would know that the Lord is still for his people, man. And that the Lord came back to save his people from their sins, man. Got it.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy filth and from the hard bondage,
Right.
wherein thou was made to serve.
Because what this church, the modern church, they don't acknowledge that the Lord has prophecies that haven't played out yet, man. That's why they exclusively stick to the New Testament, man. Because when you actually go through the Old Testament and the prophecies, you see that there's a lot of stuff that has not came to pass yet, man. A lot of in the last day prophecies, man. And you don't have the modern church going into those prophecies, man. They don't crack open the book of Revelations and break it down. Because they don't know. Because it wasn't given unto them to know. You think the Lord would come back, he would die and send an understanding on the earth, and the people that claim to be believers of the Lord and followers of the Lord wouldn't be able to break down the book? How much sense does that make, man? That let you know that another Jesus is being preached out here, man. That's contrary to the volume of the book, all right? Because the Jesus that they believe in today, he's on one part of the book. That's the New Testament. That doctrine that they have, that whole world doctrine, that's the New Testament. The Lord said, I come in the volume of the book. Meaning from the front to the back, from Genesis to Revelations, is concerning the Lord. All right? And the Lord made a promise again to the children of Israel, man. You got it,
This is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 4. Thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppression, as in the days of Midian.
Exactly. So the Lord said, as in the days of old, when the children of Israel went into captivity, the Lord rescued them then, he's going to rescue them again. All right? You going to grab something?
Yeah.
Come on.
Jeremiah chapter 16,
Ooh, I was thinking of that.
verse 14.
That's the spirit.
Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, and it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north,
Right.
and from all lands whether he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their own land that I gave unto their fathers.
Right. So that's talking about a bigger and better Exodus than the first Exodus, man. That hasn't come to pass yet, man.
Good, everything good?
Yeah. So when the Christian church pick up this book and say that the Lord is coming for the whole world, they don't understand prophecy, man. Neither do they understand the covenants, man. Let's get Romans 9 and 4, man. Because the new covenant, being saved from sin, means that you can't sin anymore, man. And that covenant was only given to the nation of Yasharahla, man.
Romans chapter 9, verse 1. I say the truth in Hamashiach, I lie not.
Right.
My conscience also beareth me witness
Right.
in the Holy Ghost,
Right.
that I have great heaviness and continuing sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were cursed from Hamashiach,
Right.
for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites,
Right.
to whom pertaineth the adoption,
The adoption
and the glory,
and the glory
and the covenants,
and the covenants
and the giving of the law,
and the giving of the
and the
law,
service of God,
service
and the promises.
and the promises. And that covenants in Romans 9 and 4 is plural. So that means the first covenant and the second covenant belongs to the Israelites. Continue on that, last verse on that.
Whose are the fathers,
Right?
and of whom, as concerning flesh, Hamashiach came, who is over all, God bless forever.
It jumped to Matthew 15 and 24. Because it says, and who concerning the flesh Christ came, man. Concerning the flesh, Christ came for the nation of Israel, man. And he said that as well, man. You got it up.
Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Exactly, man. And that's out of the Lord's mouth, man. And now you have this modern day doctrine. Matter of fact, 2 Corinthians 11 and start around like 4. Because now you have a new doctrine out here, man. Now you have a new doctrine where they've changed the doctrine of the Lord as well as the image of the Lord, man. They took the Lord, the true image of the Lord that was put out there during the Byzantine Empire, which was a dark-skinned depiction of the Lord, and they wrote over it and turned him into a so-called white man. Along with that, they came up with a different doctrine, man.
Romans Catholicism.
You got it up.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 4. For if he that cometh preacheth another Yahawashi,
Right.
whom we have not preached,
Right?
or if you receive another spirit which ye have not received,
Right.
or another gospel which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
Exactly, man. So there's gonna be another gospel. There's gonna be another Jesus being preached out here, man. And it's not according to the one that walked the earth, man. That died for the nation of Yasharallah, man. That actually walked the earth and gave himself up as a sacrifice. So for the New Testament, okay. Matter of fact, you got one?
Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophies and vain deceits, after the tradition of men,
Right.
after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And see, and Paul was saying that because he knew that in this time, and even in his time, there were going to be false doctrines. There were going to be doctrines that were put out here by traditions of men, man. But the Lord has given us the understanding of the scriptures where we can go from Genesis to Revelations and preach the doctrine of YAHAWASHI Yahushua. Whereas the doctrine that's being pushed out here now is only reserved to the New Testament, man. And that's for a reason. It's only reserved for the New Testament because they cherry pick all the world, and then they say that that's for all people, when the Lord blatantly has what the second covenant involves and who it involves, man. Got it.
Mark chapter 7, verse 6. He answered and said unto them, well had Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, these people honor me with their lips,
Right.
but their heart is far from me.
Exactly.
Howbeit in vain do they worship me,
Right.
teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandments of God,
Right.
ye hold the traditions of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such like things ye do.
Yeah, so the traditions of men have always spoiled the doctrine of YAHAWASHI Yahushua, and it's nothing new, man. There's nothing new under the sun. Traditions of men have spoiled things in the past, and they're spoiling things now. But that's only to the ones that the Lord don't desire, man. Because the Lord said that the election have obtained it, man, and the rest were blinded. All right, so the remnant of the nation of Israel, of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, are going to understand their heritage and come back to it, man. And this rest of the world is going to be fooled by the vain deceits and philosophies of men. And that's what we have. We have another gospel, we have traditions of men, and it's all covering and trying to cover up the actual truth of YAHAWASHI Yahushua, man. That's why when we come out here, people try their best to disrupt what we're doing, man. Whether it be a vain question of folly, or whether it be just blatantly trying to yell over us, man. There's always an effort to cloud and cover up the actual truth of YAHAWASHI. Because it said that the word of the Lord is like a two-edged sword. Now, if the word of the Lord is like the modern day Christianity, that's not a two-edged sword, that's a butter knife. Nobody's hurt by the doctrine of Christianity.
They need a butter knife, that's a spoon.
It's a spoon, man.
People don't eat with that.
You can't eat with that.
Can't.
You got it. You had a precept up?
Bring it out.
Yeah, this is John chapter 4 and 22.
That's beautiful.
Ye worship ye know not what.
Let's get it.
We know what we worship,
right?
For salvation is of the Jews.
Exactly, and that's out of the Lord's mouth, man. That's out of the Lord's mouth. So people will see that, and then they'll see the Lord say, go preach to all nations, and then they get bugged out. Get James 1 and 1 if you can, because people are here, the Lord say salvation is of the Jews, and then they'll see the Lord say, all right, go out to all nations and preach the gospel and tell them that the kingdom of heaven. Why did the Lord say that though? You got it. In John 7 and 35. Because there's a reason the Lord said go preach out to all nations, man. But salvation is still of the Jews, which are the entire nation of Yasharallah. But at the time, they were known as Jews because they were in the land of Judea, man.
James chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord, Yahawashi Mashiach,
right?
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting.
Exactly. So why would James say that if everybody was entitled to something, man? This is the brother of Christ, man. The brother of Yahawashi Mashiach, man. Why would he say that, man? That's exactly. You got it?
John, I got it. This is John chapter 7, verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed amongst the Gentiles?
Amongst the Gentiles.
And teach the Gentiles?
And so that gives you an indication that the dispersed Israelites that were not in the land and they were not keeping the customs were looked at as Gentiles, man. Because it said the dispersed amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles, man. Because at the end of the day, the Lord made an oath that he was going to gather the children of Israel from everywhere he scattered them. Which is why the Lord said, preach the gospel to all nations. Because in all nations are children of Israel, man. Chiefly the elect that are going to come out of those nations, man. Let me, you got one?
Y'all did 1 Corinthians 12 and 1?
Nah. You can bring it out, though.
Bring that out.
You can bring it out.
Then after that, get Ephesians 2, 11, 12. Bring out Hosea 8 and 8 out.
I got you. It's Hosea chapter 8, verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Okay? So the Israelites were being scattered amongst the Gentiles even at the time of Hosea, man. And the gathering was the Lord gathering the Israelites that were scattered abroad. That's why James 1 and 1 said to the Israelites that are scattered abroad, greetings, man. He didn't say to the whole world, man. The modern Christianity, they take world, they take ye, they take whosoever, they take all men, and they take that and they blatantly misuse the understanding of what YAHAWASHI had, man, which is that he was gathering those that were scattered abroad in all of these different philosophies. You got it.
Hold on, let me say this, man. Let me say this real quick. Hey, I want you to read John 7:35.
I got it.
One more
I got
time.
it. Nah, you stay there.
We finna cut the whole Edomites in YouTube land everywhere. Watch this.
John chapter 7, verse 35. Then said the Jews amongst themselves, whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Now, the important word in that sentence is dispersed. Check this out. This is for YouTube land. This is Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12.
Let's get it.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and assemble the outcasts of Israel,
Right.
and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
So the Lord was always talking about grabbing the dispersed from that was scattered abroad. That's why the gospel had to be preached to all nations, because the nation of Israel had been scattered to the four corners. There's not a place on earth where there's not an Israelite. You got it.
I don't give a damn what they do. They ain't get around that.
This is Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Wherefore, remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh,
Right.
who are called uncircumcision, by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands, that at the time ye were without Christ, without Yahawashi, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, of Yasharallah.
The commonwealth, because the commonwealth involves the covenant that's going to be spread. You got it, Salaki.
It says, that at time ye were without Yahawashi, being aliens from the commonwealth of Yasharallah, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Yahweh in the world.
Exactly. So there was a time where you had Israelites that had been cast aside. There's certain laws that said that if an Israelite broke it, he would be cut off from his people, man. So a part of that cut off means that you were cast off as a heathen, man. But the Lord made an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. And that's why in Galatians it talks about how the promise overtakes the law. Because the children of Israel were being wicked, they were being cut off, they were being cast away, but the Lord still made an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that he was going to give the inheritance to their seed. So he had to create a way for them to come back, which is what the New Testament is all about. The nation of Israel receiving the inheritance that was promised to them in Genesis, man.
This is Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Exactly, and that goes to people that pick this book up and don't know what they're talking about, man. Chiefly, man. Because you picking up the laws, the righteousness of YAHAWASHI, and you don't understand what you're reading, man.
I gotta go back to this one more time. You got it up.
Bring out that First
Oh,
Corinthians.
yeah, you got it. You got it,
Yeah. This is 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
See, our people were carried away. We were Gentiles. That's a past tense. Now, if the Gentiles can be saved, why is they saying you were Gentiles? Because they were in a Gentile state of mind, man. They were in heathen-like customs, man. They were keeping the customs of the heathens, man. In that time when you had temple prostitutes, when you had togas, different type of celebrations that a lot of people celebrate today and don't even know.
That's why I was bringing out that Hosea 8 and 8, man. Israel is swallowed up. They shall be among the Gentiles wherein is no pleasure, man. Israel was scattered all Gentiles.
Just like we're in America now, following heathen customs.
That's a fact.
There's no difference.
No
fact.
We
difference.
think we African American.
But see, that's why the Lord said it is for you to know the mystery of the kingdom of heaven, man.
Right.
Because what these Christians are preaching is not a mystery, right? It's not something that's hard to understand.
Because to them it's not given.
Exactly. That's you got it up.
I got one for you. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob,
Right.
and will yet choose Israel,
Right.
and set them in their own land.
Right.
And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right.
And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the, Salakia.
Good, huh?
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were,
Right.
and they shall rule over their oppressors.
So when did Israel in the ancient world, like we said before, when did Israel in the ancient world rule over their oppressors, man? Jake went through Babylonian captivity, Assyrian captivity. You got it.
No, keep going. I got you.
Jake went through Egyptian captivity, the Hellenistic period. All these captivities, Jake ain't put none of them people in slavery after he went out of captivity. That tells you that this is a future judgment. This is a future prophecy. You got it?
Verse 3, and it shall come to pass
Shall come.
in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made it to serve.
Right. Because we've been made to serve hard bondage, man. But the Lord said that our iniquity is complete in Lamentations, man. There's coming a time where the Lord is about to gather his scattered, man.
That spirit too. I just bought that same precept about when y'all came up. That spirit that, hey, the Lord want to come out again.
There's going to be a time where the Lord's going to gather his scattered, and we're in that time now, man. Could you grab, you got one? Could you grab Jeremiah 17:4? And then we could grab Ezekiel 37, because that's what it's really all about. The Lord said, prophesy to all nations, when he was talking about the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who were scattered amongst all these nations, man. Because at the end of the day, what you can't get around is the fact that the Lord made a promise, man. And not only is the Lord going to fulfill his promise, but he's going to judge the nations that put their hands on us, man. That's a part of the prophecy, man. That those who spoiled you shall be spoiled, and those that devoured you shall be devoured. That never happened for the ancient Israelites. That's a future prophecy.
Listen, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will call thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not. For you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So not only were the children of Israel going to forget who they were, but they were going to have to serve their enemies. Continue on that, right?
Thus saith the Lord, YAHAWASHI, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm.
Exactly. So we're supposed to come back and trust in YAHAWASHI because he had took away our heritage, man. He said he was going he told Jeremiah, even thou, even thyself. Meaning even you, Jeremiah, are going to lose your heritage and serve your enemies and serve other gods that your fathers didn't know, man. Now, is there any record in there where Jeremiah, in the book of Jeremiah, lost his heritage? Or went into captivity and served wood and stone? It's not, man. That tells you that shows you, number one, reincarnation, and it shows you that the Lord was dealing with his people, man. That even the righteous amongst his people were going to be judged. Just like all these nations are going to be judged as nations, man. And now we're in a time where we're getting our heritage back, man. Because when you think about it, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians are really the only people on the face of the earth that don't know who they are, man. That have a history that's given to them by people that oppress them, man. They're the only nation of people on the planet Earth that has that predicament. That predicament is prophecy. It's a sign and a wonder to let you know and identify the children of Israel in these last days, man. Got one?
Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And that wood, it goes back to that cross. That these Christians pick up and say that the Lord loves everybody, man. When the Lord clearly has scriptures where he says that he hates, the Lord said that he was going to completely get rid of a house, the house of Esau, the so-called white man. You got it? Bring it up.
It's Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 10. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas as the Lord was there. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them.
So for the hatred and the envy that they have for our people, the Lord is going to turn it around on them, man. You got it.
And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord,
right.
and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Yasharallah,
right.
saying they are laid desolate, they are given to us to consume. Thus we with our mouth ye have boasted against me, right. and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate.
Right.
as thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Yasharallah, because it was desolate,
Right.
so will I do unto thee.
Right.
Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
Yeah, so the Lord said that not only for the blasphemy, for the envy, for the hatred, the Lord is going to render a recompense, man. And the Lord is going to remove Esau from out of the planet Earth, man. For all of the envy and the blasphemy, and because it's a blasphemous thing to say that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the children of Israel, man. Whether they do it ignorantly or whether they do it knowingly, man. It's a blasphemous thing to say, man. Because the Lord put the curses on our people specifically so you would know who they are in the last days, man. You got it. Unless you have one,
You got three. Still reading?
Go ahead, go ahead.
You got some more? Go ahead, huh?
Oh, something else. Move back.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 21. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Yasharallah had profaned among the heathen whither they went.
Right.
It says, therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Yasharallah, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen whither ye went.
Exactly, because the nation of Israel is the Lord surnamed the nation of Israel, man. He said, I have surnamed thee, I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. The nation of Israel belongs to the Lord, man.
What's that? He said jealous over us, remember?
It slipped my mind where it said.
You remember that one, where he said he's jealous over us? He's jealous over Israel. I forgot that.
This is Isaiah chapter 44. And I'll start at 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, Jacob, my servant, and thou, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. So the Lord's chosen and his called is the nation of Yasharallah, man. That's the ones who have been given the service of the Lord, man. You got it? Bring it up.
This Hosea chapter 12, verse 3. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with power. Yeah, he had power over the angel and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him. He found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us. Even the Lord, power of hosts, the Lord is his memorial.
Right.
Therefore turn thou to thy power, keep mercy and judgment, and wait on thy power continually.
And that's what our people are supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be joining unto these heathens, man. We're supposed to separate ourselves from them heathens completely. The Lord gave us a beautiful heritage, and we're supposed to cleave unto it, man.
I got a quick one. This Zechariah 8:2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury.
Right.
Verse 3. Thus saith the Lord, I am returned unto Zion, and I will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain.
Because this is the apple of the Lord's eye, man. That's what you're talking about. When you talk about Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you talk down on them, you're talking about the apple of the Lord's eye, man. The people that the Lord has a jealousy over with great jealousy, man. You see what he did to the Egyptians, man. You can read the record of what the Lord did to the Egyptians, man. And it wasn't quick, man. It wasn't easy, man. The Lord plagued them, a slow, painful persecution, man. The plagues took a while to come to pass, man. It wasn't easy. And this Exodus is not going to be easy, man.
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?
And the reason Israel is spoiled is because they, you know what, go to
16. The young lions roar upon him. Jump down, 15. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 13. For my people have committed two evils.
Right?
They have forsaken me, found the living water,
Right?
and healed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water.
So because our people forsook the Lord, we become homeborn, two-thirds of our people have become homeborn slaves. And if not for the oath that the Lord gave the nation of Israel, there would not be a remnant. We would be as Sodom and Gomorrah, man, for our iniquities, man. You got it?
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 11. Hath a nation changed their gods,
Right.
which are yet no God,
Wow.
but my people have changed their glory for that which do not profit.
Exactly, man. Because you got the Chinese, you got the East Indians. They haven't forsaken Hinduism. They haven't forsaken all of those philosophies that they have. But Jake has forsaken his power, and his power actually lives and exists, man.
Shalom, how you doing? I'll bring this out real quick because I was looking for it. Zechariah 1 verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
And how did they forward the affliction, man? Through all of the rape, robbery, and murder that they continue to do to our people, man. They create legislation that oppress our people, man. They lie on our people. They create doctrines that don't benefit our people, and they put them in our neighborhoods to destroy our people, man. Black rap music, trap music. All of these philosophies are put in our neighborhoods, and all of these devices are used to destroy our people. And all it's doing is making the Lord more angry, man. You got it, man.
I don't know if we brought it out. Zechariah 2:8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye.
So when you talk down about the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, what you don't understand is that you're talking down about the apple of the creator of all things, man. The apple of his eye, man. That's why it says, "O nation not desired, gather yourselves together," man. Because none of these nations regard our nation as something of royalty, as something that represents the Lord, Zion. We're treaded down in this land, man, but the Lord is about to raise us up, and he's going to punish all of the blasphemous statements that have been made about our people in this land, whether it's in thought or in deed, man.
I brought out a precept with Jeremiah 2:11, right? I have a nation change their gods, right? So this is a precept. This Judges chapter 10, verse 14. He said, "Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. And the children of Israel say unto the Lord, we have sinned. Do thou unto us whatsoever seems good unto thee. Deliver us only, we pray thee this day."
So the Lord is going to say in that day, pray to Jesus, man. Pray to Jay-Z, man. Pray to Tupac. Since you've made, pray to that rock over there in Mecca, man.
Allah.
Since you've made all of these, you made all of this your gods. Pray to them to save you, man. Don't call on my name. That's why in Proverbs in the first chapter, the Lord says He's gonna laugh at their calamities. Because we out here preaching the Lord's word and preaching mercy to the nation of Israel, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but they don't regard that, man.
Hey, don't the scripture say in that day they're gonna call Lord, Lord?
We're gonna get that.
Say, I've not known you. And that's a scary thing, man. That's scary to know that the Lord is not even going to, not only is He not going to listen to you, but He's going to laugh at your calamity, man. He's going to laugh at what's going on with you, man. So not only is the Lord going to not hear your prayers, but He's going to laugh at you, man.
Hey, I brought a beautiful precept out earlier when we first got here. I got to bring this out. Must needs read. This Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 34. I'm going to start at verse 33. As I live, saith the Lord power, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out while I rule over you, I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
So it's gonna come a time, where the Lord's gonna render that fury and gather us up. But then he's gonna put us in the wilderness, and he's gonna deal with the nation of Yasharallah that he's pulled out of these lands. He's gonna deal with them face to face.
Face to face.
You ain't gonna be able to go send Moses.
Yeah, exactly. That's a scary thing, man. Because right now, we in the last days bearing the name of YAHAWASHI. And that shows you that even though you got pulled out from the land that you scattered, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. The Lord's still gonna plead with you in the wilderness, man. You got it all.
This is Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 1. Then saith the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth?
Right. Right.
Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as are for death to death.
Death to
and
death.
such as are for the sword to the sword.
Sword to sword.
And such as are for famine to the famine.
Right.
And such as for captivity to the captivity.
Exactly. So the Lord is bringing these plagues out on the planet Earth, man, for 2/3 of our people who refuse to listen time and time again, man. The Lord ain't gonna have that kind of mercy on you this time around, man. You've used all your lifelines. Now the Lord is about to bring judgment. And this time it's gonna include our nation, man. In the book of Judges, the Lord raised up saviors. You got it, you got it.
Oh, no,
you got
go
it.
ahead. This is going back. No, go ahead.
It's verse 3.
It's getting hot
And I
out here.
will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord. The sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy.
Exactly. So the Lord got teeth of wild beasts, he got famine, he got pestilence, let alone the people that's gonna be putting each other to death, let alone the missiles, let alone the UN troops. The Lord got a lot of trick bags out here and there's no escape. Right now, people are comfortable because they can eat a full meal, they could go to Starbucks, they could go to the cigar shop, get them a cigar, blow some smoke in downtown Orlando, win. But it's gonna come a time where the Lord gonna put these people to death.
So explain to me, so I get the 12 tribes of Israel. So explain to me this side.
So according to the curses in Deuteronomy, according to the prophecy that was given in Genesis 49 chapter, these people will be going through a particular thing in the last days. Alright? According to Genesis 49 and the curses in Deuteronomy 28, they are identified by Deuteronomy. In the last days, it was said that the children of Israel will be oppressed. They were going to go through slavery and shit. And that they were going to forget their heritage. All of that consists of this nation of people. Now the reason they're all divided like this is because in Genesis 49 chapter, Jacob told all of his sons what was fallen in the last days. For example, Gad, the North American Indians, that's what that was.
And that goes to show that the Jews over there in the land of Israel aren't the real Jews, because Jacob said this is what's going to befall you in the last days. Now the Jewish people, we live in, if you don't, do you agree that we're living in the last days?
I don't know about that. I don't know what.
Okay.
I'm not sure I agree with
Do you
that.
believe in the Bible? Of course. Okay. The Bible gave certain things to look out for that were going to take place in the last days. The mark of the beast, which is RFID chip, martial law, really, and it's all called the time of Jacob's trouble, right? But Jacob said to his sons, I'm going to tell you what's going to befall you in the last days. So in the last days, the real Israelites are going to be on the bottom. But those Jewish people in the land of Israel, the Zionists, they could run everything. Media, the banks, So just according to prophecy, that's just one of the many things in the scriptures that will show you and indicate that those people in the land of Israel, in the land right now,
Matthew 24.
are actually the bastards.
So-
Ashdod. But
So
go ahead.
hold up,
Go back to what you said.
So what are you trying to prove? I'm just curious. What's your point?
Let's bring this out real quick.
Tribe of Gad, right?
Tribe of Gad. This is what Israel told Gad when we called him in the last days.
Say Gad, a truth shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
So the truth is the conquistadors and the Spanish and all of the conquerors that came over to this land took over the North American Indians. The prophecy was that they were going to be overtaken, but in the last days they were going to overcome. Okay? So that's one example of what Jacob told his sons will befall them in the last days and how they would be, where they would be and what would happen. Okay?
So I'll give you a number real quick for these three right here. Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Okay?
Matthew 24. Yeah, it's about to end.
Okay, this Deuteronomy 28:48. It says, Thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee.
Okay.
Now if you look down here, if you look
Yoke of iron.
they put that on his neck.
And just
So
to prove it to you, if you go on Google and type in yoke of iron, I won't even type in Bible or nothing of yoke of iron. When you go to Google Images, that's the first thing that pops up. I didn't type in Bible, nothing, just yoke of iron.
So the yoke of iron will be put on their neck. And it was put on their neck during slavery, so if they ran through the bushes, they would be caught. They'd get caught up in the bushes trying to run away. Now that's according to prophecy.
So just real quick, in 1 minute, what's the point you guys are trying to make?
Well,
What
according to
would you
prophecy,
like to see happen?
we're commanded to come out here and let our people know who they are according to the Bible and according to history, and to let the rest of the world know that judgment is coming, that captivity is coming for what has been done to these people. The Lord said, "He that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity." So that's gonna come. That's coming as well. Slavery for not only the so-called white man for what he's done, but the other nations as well. World War III is being created and brewed by the Lord for the sake of His people. He's judging the world for the sake of
What would you like, as a Jewish guy, what would you like to see me do? What would you like my mindset?
As a Jewish guy, as an Amalekite, enjoy yourself. Get Lamentations 4.
Well, I'm going to get that in Exodus that the Lord said he was going to make war with Amalek forever. Remember?
Yeah, because the so-called the Jewish people, ish meaning like it pertaining to not being of, those people are not the actual Israelites. That's why they call themselves Jewish. They're actually Amalekites. The Lord said in Numbers that they were going to be the first of all nations, but their latter end is that they perish forever.
Let me bring this out.
You got it?
It's Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogues of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I love thee. I love these people.
So whether you do it now or whether you do it later, you and your people are going to come worship at our feet.
What organization you guys with?
It's not an organization, it's a heritage.
We the Hebrews.
We're the real Jews according to prophecy. The Negroes in America, we're the real Jews according to prophecy.
So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans.
We fit the prophecy.
We are the Israelites, not Jews. We are the Israelites.
Israelites, right, come.
We're all 12 tribes.
All 12 tribes.
Whether you believe it or not.
America gonna be destroyed with missiles. Intercontinental missiles. From Russia.
Jewish people today, matter of
Hold on,
fact,
I got one
the
real
Jewish
quick.
people today,
I'm bringing
their
out
mind
Matt.
actually goes back to Herod.
Don't wanna hear it, don't wanna hear
Herodians. Now, we know that Herod wasn't actually a Jew. What did Herod and the Herodians do? They tried to marry into Israel. That's why you guys follow a matrilineal bloodline. That's why you take the mother's last name instead of the father, like the scripture says. But according to the scriptures,
What is the name of y'all's, you not go to, what do you call your establishment? Church, synagogue, what do you call it?
church needs to call out. But we're the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible
That's
says.
our organization.
What is the name of your organization?
Hebrew Israelites.
Hebrew Israelites.
Yes.
He's dragging me along, so I gotta go.
All right.
God bless, all right?
All right. Hey, wise as serpents, harmless as doves. But hey, the truth must come out, man. The truth must come out.
And he took it humbly.
If he's really a Jewish, how come he couldn't read what I have written across my head? You know?
And
This is the real Hebrew I got written on my head right now. What does it say? Because you guys don't even speak the Hebrew. They speak Yiddish.
And that's why the Lord has his prophets out there, man. Because really, and the elders went into it too, man. Really, the only people that's supposed to break it down this book is men of Israel, chiefly the prophets, man.
Let me bring it, because you asked him if he believes it's the end, right?
Right, yeah.
So this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahawashi answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying,